Okay, good morning once again and welcome. It is still Good Morning Anambra Thursday episode, and we are looking at so many issues. We have given you the news, we have given you the newspaper headlines, and now we want to look at the topic we have today, society and child's rights. And I'd like to welcome you again to this segment. I still have Dave with me, Dave Omokwasle.
Yes, we are together on this role now, and when we talk about child rights, it's an important thing to our society. So stay with us as we look at this topic.
And I know you have this penchant for children.
Yes, yes, I do.
Okay, let's move on. To help us look at the society and the child's rights, we'll have two people that have joined us in the studios. The first person is Sir Emeka Ejide. Sir Emeka Ejide is the former Director of Child Development and the Minister of Women Affairs, Anambra State. And he is also the Coordinator of Child's Rights Implementation Committee. Sir Emeka, will welcome you to our studios.
Thank you and good morning.
Yeah, it's good to have you here. And we also have Barrister Love Okafago. She is a legal practitioner and also a human rights activist. Love, you welcome.
Thank you very much.
Hope you're ready to share love.
Yes.
You look lovely.
Thank you.
Okay, welcome. Yeah, like we said, we're going to look at society and the child's rights. Children's rights, let's start with that, are the human rights of children with particular attention to the rights of special protection and the care afforded to minors. And when we say minors, we mean children below the age of 18. That's according to 1989 Convention of the Rights of the Child, CRC. Some of these rights include the basic ones: right to association with both parents, that every child must have a relationship with the father and the mother, and then right to protection from who? The parents, the government, the general public. We are going to look at all those ones today. Right for food, provision of food. If you bring in any child into this world, make sure you feed that child. And then universal basic paid education. I saw that one. It was in parentheses. Paid education. And that simply means that the education at that age is supposed to be free. You prove me wrong if I am not. Okay. And then so many other ones: health care, freedom from discrimination, and so on. A whole lot of them. And now that we are here seated to look at how the society taking this, is looking at this right of the children, let's begin with our guest to ask. And we're starting with Emeka. Could you please tell us more on who is this child that deserves this right that we have just talked about?
Yes, thank you so much. The Constitution of Nigeria, as domesticated from the Convention on the Rights, has said, one, that the child is anyone below the age of 18. And usually, there are basic rights that is accorded to a child. For example, the child has a right to a family environment. These are the 12 rights of the child. The child equally has a right to a stable, loving, and decent environment. The child equally has a right to clean water, has a right to quality education, and the child has a right for equal opportunity. And the child equally has a right, of guidance from a caring adult. That means to say the child must be guided, and that is the role of the parents towards the child. But that also includes us to look at the core principles of the child's rights. And that includes principle of non-discrimination against the child. And that shows that the child should not be discriminated against. And whatever we are doing, the best interest of the child should be of paramount consideration. And then, equally to say that, one, the child should be allowed to participate in issues that has an impact in their lives. And that is the right of participation. Let me stop so far here.
Let me come to you, Barrister. You've been engaged in human rights and you're a human rights activist. On your assessment, how would you put the implementation of the Child Rights Act so far in Nigeria generally?
Thank you very much. Thank you so much, my people at home and everybody watching. You know me, I don't deal with books. I hate books. I hate how it is stated. The children of this generation are suffering. They are suffering so bad that it's killing the mothers untimely. And we are trying to raise a voice and see if we can be heard, the mothers, to save these children. It's sad, it's annoying, it's painful. And each time you bring up this topic, you will have our professors, those that are on the seats, those that are supposed to implement these so-called rules, read out these rules that have never been implemented. And it's sad. When you go to the streets, when you go to the roots, when you go to the communities, you will see how bad the children are being treated. You will see how deteriorated. You will see how sad. You will see how painful it is for mothers, for children in this society. In fact, this society, it's like the children and the mothers are no longer inclusive. It's just the business guys doing their thing with no one thinking or even considering the rights or the benefits, or even these children, or even their welfare. When you look around, these questions answer itself. These questions shouldn't be asked because they answer itself. The one that is even eating me up the most is this children's education. We are still trying to fight to see if these children can be given free education, and no one is trying to investigate the private schools. That's not being painful enough. There are so many introduction of school uniforms and abadas in school that if a child does not sew abada, the child will not go to school. And I say, what is this?
So when we say a universal free basic education, or however you put it, I think we are talking about what government can provide for its citizens. So, but if you leave government school and decide to go to private school, are you saying that the government will now tell the private school what to charge you or how to handle you when they have provided schools for you and all the benefits in the public schools?
Thank you very much. Why do we have government? If the society will be a freelander, why the government? If the private schools should be a freelander, why the Ministry of Education? Why? There are procedures. There are people in authority that supervise these things. There are people that should monitor these things and will not allow it to get overboard. What is their job? What are they doing?
I agree with you. That should be control. Let's bring in Emeka here. Let's bring in Emeka. Emeka, you heard what she's saying, and she's very angry with the policy implementation of child rights. That is very poor, starting from the beginning to even to the parents. She also indicted the parents. Let's see.
Yes, let me just put it straight. Anambra State domesticated the Child Rights Act in 2004, and currently there is an instrument that enforces the implementation of the law. The family courts are in place in Anambra State, and so the state is implementing the provisions of the law. Now, the rights of the child. You have right to education up to basic 9. That is from 1 to 9 up to JS3. And government has decided that this quality education should be compulsory. But the issue here is that some children do not attend school. the number of out-of-school children are increasing.
Why?
And then you look at the reasons for it. Basically not because of fees. How much do they pay in school?
So why do you think children...
I look at it from an angle. One is socio-cultural background. People will say it's poverty because people leave their parents from the rural areas and they migrate to the urban areas where they serve as house help or maids to people. And then the motive behind their movement is that they are going to benefit from quality education. And when they come to the urban areas, they do not go to school. So you see that most people you see hawking during school hours are people that are living with their so-called parents. Some are not actually their parents. And even those who are children of their own parents, some of them are out of school. Not because of how much is their school pay. No school pay up to 5,000.
You know our topic is society and child rights. So we're trying to balance where the problem is, societal-wise, beyond what the government is doing and what the government has not done. And you mentioned the sociocultural aspect of it. Now, does it mean that the society in its entirety, the government, parents, and even a person who buys pure water from a young person of under 18 have not done enough to ensure that these children have access to better living?
You see, this is just what we're looking at. We are not trying to say that parents do not err in their role. There is parenting issue. Many parents do not have time for their children. In the morning, both mother and father go to work in search of whatever you call it.
Because of the economic situation of Nigeria,
Yeah, that is part of it.
Men say they can't do it alone, so they push their wives out of the house.
And even when children go to school, parents do not take time to see how do they fare in school. Some do not even go to school. You know, children, because of their peer group influence, some even become delinquents, even at such ages. And some are assumed to have gone to school when they don't go to school. Some of them even they trade on their own. So what I'm trying to say is that parents have a lot of role to play in ensuring that the rights of these children are protected.
Okay, the parents that the government is taking care of. And it's okay, let's come back to you. Let's look at child abuse. Because if a child is out of school when he's supposed to be in school, he's not given the basic things that the law has said that should be given to the person, it simply means the child is being abused. Or what do you think?
Thank you very much. You cannot count one, you cannot count 2, 3 without counting 1. Okay. You can't count Z without starting from ABCD. So before we push this whole thing to parents, we go down to the roots. We know how painful it is to bear a child. We know there's nobody that loves a child more than the parent. Is it the government, someone sitting in his office, in his AC office, that loves a child more than a woman that went through the labor? The answer is strictly no.
The person that's sitting in the office also has a child?
Yes. The child that is hawking, the mother is somewhere selling pepper. The child that is hawking, there are some that are strictly under maybe house help. That's another case. But there are some that is their mother that is sending them because they need to live. They need to survive. They have to eat at least 1 cup of garri for that day. It's not because this woman hates that child. What I'm saying is we cannot just come straight and push it on her that she's abusing this child. What have we done to make sure that this woman, if we give this woman enough things to survive, if we make it free for her child to go to school, 70%, 80, 90 something percent of the women will allow their child to go to school and come back and go do their homework. I'm a mother.
Barrister, still on this. Let's provide a landing space for us. That I cannot fund the food of my children. Does it justify for me to send out a young child of less than 5 years or even less than 10 into the street to hawk?
Thank you very much. No, sir, let me. I'm a mother. Let me. Right. He who comes to equity must come with a clean hand. That is why I'm saying you can't count two without counting one. These mothers are going through hell. We go to the roots. We go to the community. We go to the deepest place you can't go to. And we know the pain that these mothers are going through. They don't love the fact that they see their children doing these things. And in as much as we want them to stop it, more than they want, in fact, not up to how they want to stop it. What I'm saying is, let's try and help this mother. I'm not talking of election 10,000 traders' money. I'm talking of helping these women to survive. I'm talking of helping these women because their husbands are as good as there is no husband. Majority of them.
Okay. Let's hold it there. I know you want to say something, but where I want you to come in, Emeka, I know that this kind of abuse, whereby a child is supposed to is in the streets when it's supposed to be in the school, and if is a girl child, in the next 10, 12 years, that child is being given out to marry, okay? Because there's no money to send her to school, and that's what we want to look at now: child marriage. Yes.
Let me really say, try to provide for the woman in order not to send the child to hawking. Look at the issue. What do this? No, I'm trying to take from what the barrister said.
Okay.
What do they hawk? Pure water that the entire proceed for the day is less than 20 naira.
No, it's not true.
Pure water, you hawk a bag of pure water from morning till night. What is the profit margin on the bag of pure water?
100%. If you buy it 100 naira, you get 200 naira.
Good.
From a bag
is that 200 naira enough to expose that child to a lot of hazards, a lot of moral danger? I look at it as one, ignorance on the part of the parents for not actually knowing the benefit of the rights to education. If they do, they will not send their children to hawk during school hours. Others that does it are doing it purely to abuse the child, exploiting them because they came from other areas to come and help them in their chores.
Mr. Jide, let's balance this.
But Dave, I would like him to take on that child marriage because he is the coordinator of child
and then
implementation. That child marriage, what are you people doing about it?
Child marriage is purely an abuse on the rights of the child. The law provides that marriage before the age of 18 on the part of the girl is a violation of the child of the law.
And the law come in when you give out your daughter in marriage that is under 18. Has anyone been arrested?
That's what I'm saying. You see, implementation is different from enactment. And then what are the procedures for implementing the law? The instrument is there as a court. Who takes the matter to the court?
Who takes the matter to the court? Perhaps that's what Love was asking, that she hates this documentation that will never...
Yeah, because what else do you want the government to do? The instruments are there. Okay. The facilities are there.
All right, but
then
before we continue,
what's the procedure?
we'll have a video to watch. Let's look at that now. When we come back, Dave, you'll bring up your question. Let's watch this video, please. Welcome back. I feel like just running away from the seat, but we just have to keep rolling. Dave, did you see that?
Yes,
I don't like your face.
It wasn't. It's not okay because when we talk about implementation and who reports the child, this is one example. The acts are just like docile; they are there until you report the case. It doesn't happen. Nobody takes it up because we're talking about society. We just read this morning of a married man, a man married to 3 wives, and raped the daughter. Then we also have other stories that happen, and probably there are so many unreported cases that the society even want to, when you want to take up this case, you're a human rights lawyer, maybe you want to take up the case, this one is a family matter, let's handle it. How do we go from here when we see this kind of issues happening? How do we handle it to ensure that we nip this practice in the bud? Behind the camera, we were discussing about the system in Igbo land where maybe a girl gets pregnant and then the family finds someone to push her to outside her views, maybe to go there and give birth for someone that died in that family. I will retain his name. How do we handle this matter? How do we become proactive? You've heard the child development department in the Ministry of Women Affairs. How do we make these things work?
If you look currently now, I must tell you that just of recent, RULAC, Rule of Law, and with the support from British Council, re-inaugurated the State Child's Rights Implementation Committee, known as the State Committee. Now, that committee just came on board some days ago. That is the one I'm coordinating. And the essence of this committee is, one, to popularize the child's right law and report the status of the child. That equally brings everyone knowing the status of the child, and then you know the rate of abuse and the level of the rights protection and implementation. This state committee will equally be taken down to the local government areas. What I'm trying to say in effect is that most of these unreported cases will suddenly be reported appropriately, and actions will be seen to be taken. Because you cannot equally implement the law when certain instruments are not in place. And one of such instruments is the State Committee. It was established initially in 2005. But by 2010, it fizzled out. So having studied the law, and now see that there is no way you can do that, they need to have a bite. And that is how ROLAC, with support of British Council, European Union has now decided to re-inaugurate this committee.
I inaugurate CNA.
Yes.
Okay, Meka. Bagu, Bada, state, local governments, community. If I notice a case like this, who do I tell? Where do I go to report? And if I come to your committee to report, will you take it to court?
Right now, this very matter is being investigated at our own level. You know, we came here, some are saying it's for the child, some are saying it's the man. We don't have that information now. Somebody is right there in the community to find out precisely. And if there is a marriage in the real sense by the man, where do we start from? We start from the parents of the girl child.
We'll start by arresting them.
The
Let's come
parents
to
of
you,
the girl
love. You watch this video, and behind the camera, we were discussing that watching her, that girl is about 16 years. If you watch her bust line and her waistline, it does appear she's pregnant. Assuming she is pregnant and the family decided to give her out, because I know on a men and able, it would in what was the choice of husband. Even why in my own community, why in Amutaron one more Amutaron a senior knowing one Ziggy.
More Mutamuki.
Iotago or Jano, Anotago Yamulam, Nudoka, Mugo Nacho, Anotalia wine, Igana Kamotaka Lifu, a Janotalia, Matakli the young like this to Tadi Membuke. In this case, you're a mother. How do we handle it? Assuming she was pregnant and the family wanted to just beat the shame and send her out to marry anybody at all.
Well, the video in itself is sad. It's so sad. The girl looks pregnant to me, and if from what they are saying that is for the man's son, okay, fair enough. If it's for the man, it's an atrocity. It's bad. And if the child is already pregnant, do we assume from the whole story is now pregnant for the guy away or pregnant for this man? Well, until the investigation is being
with any of the young boys in the streets or in the area and they get her pregnant. It happens everywhere.
If the case is known and the child involved is not in agreement with whatever is happening. If we know about the matter and we are opportune to investigate the matter and the child involved, sometimes the mother of the child are not really in support. It's like a community thing because the father will be like, I want to save my face. If it's a situation like that, we take it up and we handle it.
Barrister, let me add something. You know, according to the law, the child doesn't have to be in support as far as he's a child under 18. Good. Whether he's consenting or not, legally, that is not considered. It's not
doesn't even have a consent at this time.
I don't.
Yes.
So it's considered as rape. So let's balance this issue. When this kind of thing comes up, the family tells you, maybe let's take the committee is handling it now or is investigating into the matter and gets to the family and they tell us, "Can I handle life? No, how do we take it?" Because several cases and it continues happening.
You know why I said I hate books, procedures and rules, and biro when it writes, and plenty English when it's spoken, because we end up not seeing it done. I know that something like this came up in the House of Reps when they wanted to at least nail it finally, and if a child 16 or whatever can marry, when one of them married like that in the north, you know what happened. I don't need to go into details. It's still these men that are in the head of the affairs. It's still these men that are implementing or diluting or communicating, whatever English you want to use. It's still thank you.
In the government,
in the community, when you get
decision.
to the community, the one sitting in the House of Reps, the one sitting in the office, the one sitting in the community, Igwe, elder, Ichie, also, is still this man. Is it we the mothers that impregnate our daughters for heaven's sake? It's not we the mothers. It's still the men. It's them that made the law. It's them that broke the law. So where are we supposed to go to? Or are we supposed to kill our daughters?
So so before we look at the solution, let's get to the street. We'll talk to some people. Let's hear their voices now.
A right of belonging to a family of life. Then a right to integrate herself or himself into the society, both the local, the state, and the national. And even to the world, she has a right of integration, of association.
A child has a right to good education, to good health, to shelter, and good feeding. So you cannot segregate the child from the society because he or she is a child.
A child has life like every other human being, and everybody was once a child that will grow up to become an adult. So every child has a right. They have the right to education, they have the right to growth, they have the right to provision by their parents and the people in the society for them. They also have the right for interaction or to interact with the society.
A child has rights because, first of all, a child is a human being. And the Nigerian Constitution entrenches human rights in the Constitution. And since a child is a human being, the right is also in the Constitution. And all the fundamental human rights that applies to an adult equally applies to a child. Even more so because the child is helpless. Therefore, a child has rights.
Our society is a bigger family. Our society could be seen as a wider family. It should also take care of these children. Where the parents, some of these parents are incapable because of lack of finance or one reason or the other, the society should come in and help the child.
Yes. Thank you very much for still being there. We are still looking at the society and the child's rights, and I still have Saimeka Ejide, former Director of Child Development and the Minister of Women Affairs, Anambra State, with us. Presently, he is Coordinator Child Rights Implementation Committee. Emeka, we still welcome you, and also still have Barrister Love Okafago, a legal practitioner and a human rights activist who is very much charged this morning for what the children of this generation are going through. Yes, we'll start looking at the solutions. We had the last person that spoke. He said that where the parents cannot afford to take adequate care of the children, that the society and government should come in. Because we mentioned parents that we are very poor, that they could not send their children to school, and they take them to market to hawk with them to provide for the family. What is the role of society there? I know in a place there's Akana Popo Maka boy, Bogie, Azonyo, for the Napotafano Bello, Nolobe or Gea Gosia Popofu, we be this Zoafia, Ufodo Mawai, just like that. And then Mezipia, before the government comes in now, the society, what do we need to do to help the helpless parents?
You see, the what we call the extended family system has collapsed in Anambra State.
It has
collapsed. Initially, in England, which is Anambra State, a case study. Initially, we are brothers keepers. If your children can go to school, relations are willing to take them and train them properly.
Or even pay school fees.
And pay school fees. Exactly.
House.
But
now, in those days,
no way, even right now, things like that don't exist. So it's part of the main issue that affects the rights of these children. Then secondly, I want to say ignorance on the understanding of the provisions of the law. Many people don't know there is what is called the Child's Right Law. And even when they know, they may not be able to understand it. Therefore, it will be proper to abridge this Child's Right Law and translate same abridged version to Igbo language, so that our people will know these are the provisions of the law. Because many of them do not know that one, giving out a child of 15 is an abuse. They believe that once Umage Polala, that means you can marry. They do not even know that below 18, and that any child below 18, or any person below 18 is a child. They are still looking at it using the yes. So we need to.
When we talk, it does appear we're talking about only girls. I know that some boys that their parents marry for them below the age of 18 simply because it's the only
son. That's the issue, which is wrong. So people don't understand the provision. So one of the solutions is that we have a abridged version and translate same abridged version to the Igbo language.
Okay.
All right. So let's, I think we'll look at the solutions now. You've mentioned the abridging this to Igbo language. egwu n'okwu ịchọ izonali onye Nigeria ihe izo ya n'akwụkwọ. At times, even the Igbo language might not get people to read it. Let's now look at the implementation.
No, even to couple with that,
Okay.
as I was saying, when we say abridged and translate,
Okay.
the committee is there.
Okay.
One of the functions is to popularize.
Okay.
And that means it is aggressive sensitization and creating awareness of the provisions of the law. So it is no longer putting something down and people not able to read and understand. You equally guide them to do that.
Okay, let me come to Barrister on the legal aspects. He's talking about making people be aware of this. From the angle of pushing these issues in court, getting shorter time of, will I say, litigations, and getting lawyers to or chief justices to prioritize this kind of cases. How do we do it? How do we get people?
Somebody's there.
Hello. Hello. Good morning and welcome to Good Morning Anambra. Hello, Ganiru.
Talk to us. Comrade Jaffa from where?
Oh, all the game were network issues. Maybe you call us back.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Hello?
Hello.
Yeah, talk to us. We are waiting for you. Okay, not well connected. I think that's volume on your set, so you are listening to yourself. You may need to call us back, please. It's
Yes,
taking
so
a very
that
long time. Yes.
So how do we, you are in the legal system. In a case where Eduten Watakele in the court say that this is what happened or transpired, how do we make dispensation of justice faster in such cases?
Thank you very much. The legal aspect of it, as I've said, is never the problem. The time frame for the judge to give judgment and if there are lawyers that are ready to take it up has never been the problem. But you look at the moral side of it. You look at the, when you have advocacy side of it, you have the other side of it, that which we talk about the peaceful side of it. Yeah. When you want to go to court and the whole family gathers in your office and they are crying and they are rolling on the ground and the mother is crying, is weeping, because you are a human rights activist, you still drag the girl to court. What moral justification does it give? What I'm trying to suggest, the solution is very simple. The solution is not jumping to the crucifixion of these girls. The solution is making their educations free.
Hello, good morning. Wow.
Okay.
Okay.
Yeah, you wanted to say something.
I just want to add maybe, Kayana, was a follow-up to what you said. In a case where it has finally come to court, we've seen cases where burden of proof, especially in rape issues against children, are too much that you begin to wonder, does it mean the demands that will be made? You see that this thing happened, you're asking someone who was there. You're asking the child who is in court, who was there when this thing happened?
The burden of
where are the evidence?
Where are the evidence?
That is why we must not push it to the Z. That's why I said I hate documents. I hate rules and laws. Because when you get to court, you can't just jump to where you want to go because it's a child. There are rules. There are burden of proofs, especially when it has to do with rape and murder. And a sitting judge cannot just do otherwise. A sitting judge must follow these procedures of criminal procedures. So if possible, if it's very possible for the society to avoid it from happening, that is what I'm saying. That is what we should be looking at.
We don't have any issue going to the court.
Then equally, just to chip in that angle, the committee has judiciary as member. There's a member from the family court, high court, judge. There's a member from the family court at the magistracy. There's a member from Ministry of Justice, Office of the Attorney General. What I'm just trying to say, that priority has been given to matters like this.
Okay, let's take this person. Let's really take a caller before we... Oh.
Okay,
right.
and I was hoping maybe you give us one example of any case that you have handled before we round off. Any...
Well, I wouldn't want to give a case that happened some years back. But because this committee just came up some few days ago.
Okay.
And we're already investigating this issue of child marriage.
This is your first assignment now as the case committee. Is anybody there?
Hello.
Hello.
Hello, good morning and welcome to the show. Your name and where you're calling us from?
Good morning.
Good morning.
I want to ask a question, please.
Okay, sorry, your name and where you're calling us from?
I'm calling from Oka.
And you are?
My name is Ajakaye. I'm calling from Oka.
Okay, go on.
Ajakaye?
Yes, please. Council Nivo. Open a muddy cholon. Yes. Open a muddy cholo. In for marriage. Kedia no gadi. For marriage.
Okay, Mecca.
A man below 18 years. No pay campaign. I will do in Saturday.
Or the Ajakaye from Oka, inu give Emeka pu no o ya agbanata really ni start before you we KBAD. Anyị na-achịkọtazinu kedu ife anyị ga-eme. What do we do as parents, as government, as members of committee, or wherever we find ourselves? Okay, if I get to protect our children, because I think that's the cardinal thing in the child's rights, protection. Looking at what is happening now, I hear child abuse. We hear court is now at primary school and secondary school. Now engage. What do we do to protect the child?
From the government part, if the school fees is 2,000, let's for example, and we consider it to be so minimal, let the government not be strict on that. Should not send children home because they do not pay the 2,000. They should have it a point of duty, even as much as the child has not paid the school fees, should be in school within school hours. So with that, you will see that you have reduced the number of children that will be loitering when they will not able to pay whatever amount they consider. Yeah, they will eventually pay. Because that is the essence of having.
Me, I was of the opinion.
Exactly.
Because you don't gain anything sending the person out of school.
Because at the end of the day, that child must still pay.
Yes.
And you sent the child away from school because of abada or because of one thing. And
you
the child
goes only to danger. These guys are not from the education ministry. Otherwise,
a solution must be. There must be a solution to these things.
Okay.
We are trying to see if these children can be given free education, if they can be given even up to free books, to some level of free books, and all of a sudden is traditional wears, is abada and George. Something must be done. Something must be done to these things. Right. We must help the mothers. I'm really emphasizing about the mothers. The mothers must be helped. These women are going through hell. Somebody must come up to help these women. If we don't help these women, we should forget about all these things we are discussing, because there won't be solutions to it. Because they must ask their children to help them.
There are so many things, so many issues that we would like to look at, but those ones who have taken it up to with the population guys. Okay, Moloke Gazo. You don't have the wherewithal to take care of 5-6 children. You give birth to 8. You understand what I mean? Moloke gas, man, it's super Moloke gas. If you're the kind of natural disasters, if you're not the rate age, or they can do now one work as now maybe Moloke gas, and with time, if Madam man was in Ubuda. No, if I get make how we sustain our population. It's a problem. You're laughing, madam.
Especially when all to put a job.
I like no. Sir Emeka Ejide, the former Director of Child Development, Minister of Women Affairs, Anambra State, and also the coordinator of this new committee, Child Rights Implementation Committee. Sir Emeka, well, thank you very much for joining us this morning.
Because thank you so much. We should try to know the provisions of the law, and on the part of government, they should be less strict in sending children home because of the little stipends they pay as school fees. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much. And we also had Barrister Love Oka Fago. She's a legal practitioner and a human rights activist. Thank you for joining us.
Because try and send your children to government school. Then government because do something about the agreement between Abada traders and the schools. Thank you.
Government school they Abada on Wednesday, traditional Wednesday.
So government because do something. Mothers are crying. Do something.
It's been a wonderful discussion. This issue is something that whenever it comes up, we always bring several dimensions to it. The most important thing is let's make our society a better one for the children to survive, live, and feel safe. Darling.
No, be your brother's keeper. Onye emenwuro sinyele aka maka na mmadụ niile dị mkpa. Ịghọtago ma onye nwere ego ọfa nwa na anọ wee kwudo onye nwere ego na-akụli aka wee ma na o nwere ego. So let us support each other and then build a better society. Thank you very much. My name is Sijama Uche. We'll see you tomorrow morning.